What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking our top 5 players that have the best value in the early rounds of your 2023 fantasy football drafts. Basically, the guys that you should feel 100% confident in reaching on. So it should be a really interesting breakdown. If you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? Who else would you include on this list and why? But with that being said, let's dive into this thing. As you can see, we've got our 2023 fantasy football draft rankings up here via fantasypros. Quick note, this is PPR based. But other than that, that's all you really need to know. So let's kick it off with the first name on our list. And like I said before, these are big names with really good early round value. So we're going to be talking guys in the first round, second round, third round at the lowest in terms of ADP, something like that. But they should be going a lot higher than they are. So maybe to nobody's surprise, the first name on this list is one Cooper Kupp of the LA Rams. And man, where do we start with Cooper Kupp? I feel like, right now he's kind of getting the short end of the stick because, younger guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are a little bit sexier. But people forget Cooper Kupp, 2 years ago, folks, he was the Triple Crown winner, led the NFL in yards, receptions, and touchdowns with the same quarterback he has right now. Cooper Kupp was on pace to challenge Justin Jefferson tit for tat last season. Unfortunately, what ended up happening, Cooper Kupp gets banged up. Then Matthew Stafford goes down for the LA Rams. The Rams were out of contention, so they didn't rush back Cooper Kupp, one of their premier guys on this team. And, Cooper Kupp fell by the wayside, wasn't fantasy relevant, but when he was playing, he was an absolute stud, especially in PPR formats. And now all of a sudden, the guy is being ranked as wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 on some platforms. I think you can make the case that he should be drafted right behind Justin Jefferson. In some cases, right on par with Justin Jefferson, similar to what we were seeing last season. As long as Matthew Stafford stays healthy here, folks, there's no reason why Cooper Kupp can't challenge Justin Jefferson just like he was last season. The Rams have improved a little bit, improved that offensive line a little bit, which I think should help the entire team. And then Matthew Stafford being back healthy, Cooper Kupp being back healthy, these are all good things. He doesn't have too much competition here. There's some other guys, but this offense should go through him. He should be an absolute volume machine. There's no reason. We've done plenty of mock drafts, so you've seen it. Now, again, it does depend on the platform you use, but there's no reason why Cooper Kupp should be drafted towards the end of the first round or sometimes even fall to, the beginning of the second round. That's absolutely ludicrous. If you're somebody that believes in the wide receiver position and, you're invested in taking one early, Cooper Kupp should be a lot higher on your draft board than he currently is. I'm all in on Cooper Kupp this year, and I'm willing, to pay up for him and basically make him right there, the next wide receiver drafted after Justin Jefferson. Or again, I think there's a debate that could be had that he should be going ahead of Justin Jefferson. But that's a conversation for another time. Now, let's move on to the number 2 name on this list. Here, we have got Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. And the whole thing with Tony Pollard is all about the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is no longer on the team. And look, we've seen the upside with Tony Pollard before while Zeke was there, him being the number 2 guy, but upside in terms of pass catching, upside in terms of big playability. And, the Dallas Cowboys have handed over this offense to him now. Ezekiel Elliott no longer there. And they've still got, the good pieces on that offensive line. You've got a good quarterback in Dak Prescott. You've got a good passing attack to take pressure off the running game. So it's a really good situation. Now, the one thing is, sure, Tony Pollard is coming off an injury, and he's going to be on the franchise tag. So those are 2 things to monitor, but I don't think the franchise tag ends up being an issue. There's been a lot of talk about that with guys like Saquon Barkley, guys like Josh Jacobs. Pollard, but Tony Pollard less so than those guys, I would say. There's no way that all three of those running backs end up sitting out the season or something like that. I think something will get resolved. So I'm not really worried about that aspect of it. To me, the biggest thing here is, do the Dallas Cowboys add any other running back? If that's the case, then sure, if it's a proven veteran, we have to adjust our perception of Tony Pollard. But otherwise, look, Tony Pollard is going in the middle, sometimes late second round, depending on the size of your leagues. And I think that's, again, really, really good value. We've done a lot of drafts on ESPN lately, and he's going towards the end of the second round there. I think he can absolutely be a guy that finishes, around that top 5 running back range. In fact, when we did our early look at running back tiers and rankings, sure, he was outside the tier 1 list, but in the tier 2 group, he was right alongside guys like Saquon Barkley, guys like Nick Chubb, for example. So we are high on Tony Pollard. We like the offensive situation he finds himself in. As long as he stays healthy, which hasn't really been an issue for him other than what we saw last year, we should be really good. He has nice pass catching upside as well. I think Tony Pollard can be an absolute steal here. I'd be drafting him in the first round, especially if there's been a run on the running back position. The top guys like McCaffrey, Eckler, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and Saquon Barkley are gone. Give me Tony Pollard happily afterwards. Then moving on, we have got another running back on this list. That is Mr. Nick Chubb of the Cleveland Browns. And look, I've been in the camp for a long time now where I was saying I love the player in Nick Chubb. I realized the talent. I just didn't love the situation because the Browns didn't want to utilize him as a pass catcher. Obviously, that's not his forte, but more so because they had this group of running backs around him, namely Kareem Hunt, who was taking away a lot of opportunities. Now Kareem Hunt is gone. Nick Chubb is going to be the main guy here, folks. Good offensive line in Cleveland. Obviously, Deshaun Watson being there now, having an offseason to actually work with the team. There was a lot of rust last year, but that's to be expected when he had as big of a layoff as he did. Now I think we're going to see Deshaun Watson of old in terms of, skills and capability. So that should benefit everyone on this offense. I don't expect Nick Chubb to become like an elite pass catcher or something like that, but in terms of his usage, I think it's going to be very, very high. I don't think he's going to fall to like touchdown vulturing situations. And I always say it, volume is king. I think Nick Chubb is arguably going to see the best volume of his entire career in 2023. And me personally, I'm very excited for that. For that reason, it took me a while from a fantasy perspective, but I am finally all in on Nick Chubb for the 2023 fantasy football season. Sure, he's not going to do as great as a pass catcher, but basically I think he's a better version of Derrick Henry in a better situation, younger, not as many injury concerns, better team, better offense. They're run heavy as well. So if you like somebody like a Derrick Henry, I think you should love Nick Chubb. Definitely should be higher in standard formats. I will mention that again, 14th overall here in these rankings per PPR. But to me, he's a guy that, again, you should feel very comfortable him being your RB1. If you can get him outside of the first round, I think that's tremendous value, even in PPR formats. Now, let's move on here. We've got a guy in Chris Olave, comes down to 30th overall here. So that would translate to, late second round. I'm kind of going from the earliest to the latest to middle third round type of selection in terms of ADPs. And he's a guy that I'm really, really excited for, especially in PPR formats on the New Orleans Saints with the addition and the quarterback upgrade in Derek Carr. That's honestly what I'm the most excited for here. We saw what he could do with a lot of quarterback instability last year. He was a tremendous rookie wide receiver, and I think he can pick up right where he left off. I think a lot of people are excited for guys like a Jalen Waddle, a Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I understand that these are other young wide receivers that are going a little bit earlier than him. but I don't think it should be by as much as what we're seeing here, folks. There's a big gap. Sometimes, you see Chris Olave go like 7, 8, 9 picks after Garrett Wilson, and I don't think that should be the case. I think that the Saints are going to be airing out the football. That's been Derek Carr's MO, and I think that other than, Michael Thomas, I guess, opposite Chris Olave, Olave is the number one guy here. We obviously know Michael Thomas's injury history, and he hasn't been able to see the field fully healthy in what feels like a century for now. So I feel really good about Chris Olave. I think he's basically like a mini Keenan Allen, if you will. I'm very, very excited for him. I think in PPR formats, he can be a borderline top 10 wide receiver. And if you offer me that type of upside, in the third round, that's tremendous. I'd be okay taking him at the end of the second round, which shows you how high I am on him personally. And then the final name on our list, we have got Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, Joe Mixon is, a guy that we all know in terms of name. He's done it before for the Bengals. I think the biggest concern with Mixon was, he had some off the field things that we were potentially concerned about heading into this season. Yeah, there was some talk about, is he going to be on the Bengals? Is he not going to be on the Bengals? But, as of right now, he's on the team. There hasn't been any negative things coming out of potential off the field situations. So I think this thing is trending towards him playing the entire season, being available for the Bengals the entire season. And the Bengals improved offensive line. It's night and day compared to what it was like 2 years ago. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, no longer there. I think he's going to get an uptick in terms of pass catching opportunities. He's on a great offense. It's going to have a lot of scoring opportunities as well. Joe Burrow shouldn't take away a lot of those, rushing touchdown opportunities away from him. I'm really excited about Joe Mixon. I think a lot of people kind of forgot about him because there's some younger running backs, things like that, a Travis Etienne or a Breece Hall, for example. And again, he did have some off the field concerns, but all of a sudden, again, depending on the platform you're drafting on, Joe Mixon, I've seen him go in the 4th round, which is absolutely bananas. But again, on the other extreme, I've seen him go in the 2nd round, for example. I think that's much closer to where he should be going towards the end of the 2nd round. I think he's got, top 12 running back upside, if not higher. Everything that you want to see from a running back in terms of opportunity, in terms of, a spot for him to succeed is there for Mixon. Elite offense, elite quarterback, high scoring opportunity, not a lot of competition, potential improvements from the pass catching perspective. If he puts all of that together, it is not out of the realm of possibility for Joe Mixon to have his best year so far in terms of career output. So I'm very excited for Joe Mixon in terms of the value you can get for him in 2023 fantasy football drafts currently. But with that, we wrap up this breakdown of the best early round values heading into your 2023 fantasy football drafts. Again, the guys that you should feel comfortable reaching on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Again, did you agree, disagree? Who else would you put on this list along with any other questions you guys might have? We'll do our best to answer all of them. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.